let's now invite our next guest. Former diplomat Ambassador Manju Seth is also with us. Welcome back, ma'am. Your thoughts on how this historic 3-day visit has panned out? A lot that's happened, a lot for us to unpack, some historic deals, a lot of interesting and significant statements that have been made. And the Prime Minister, in his last engagement before leaving the United States, made an interesting statement. He seems to have redefined AI. He says the future is AI, and that's America and India.
Absolutely. It's a very interesting, original also, because AI is the future, and to link it with, that is artificial intelligence is the future, and to link it with America, India, I think is again act in some ways, and also an important, interesting way of putting the relationship into perspective, because, the way things are in the world right now, it is imperative that India and in the geopolitical shifts that are taking place, I think it is important that India and the US are recognizing the importance of being together or working together of this partnership. And we can see that across the board, there has been collaboration. I think in defense, in artificial intelligence, in drones, space, in everything, energy security, I think you name it, and it's there. So I think that is, again, a very important outcome of this visit. And as, this time, again, I found that in the Congress, for instance, it was an interesting, the address to the Joint Congress that PM Modi gave. I think the reception that he received from both sides and the fact that there was no, there didn't seem to be at least, any negativity or negative kind of signaling by anyone, by and large. And as far as the media goes, again, I think usually India has been ignored in the US media, except to criticize and to focus on the negatives and the negativity that is or the whatever whatever you want to term it, the negative or the downsides in the Indian system. And I think that shift I could see this time in the US media and how they gave coverage to the visit. Otherwise, usually they do not give much coverage. In the previous visits also, we saw there was not much coverage at all. And the fact that India has, or let me put it this way, that both the US and India have realized that there is convergence between their interests, not only for now, but also for the future. And since that is being recognized by both sides, this visit has been given the importance, the due importance, keeping in mind India's sensitivities also. I think that is again an important development that was observed, that India's sensitivities were kept in mind, and there was no lecturing, so to speak, to the Indian leadership or to India on various aspects. Yes, those things must have been discussed. They've been talking of human rights and other religious freedoms and democratic downslide, etc. in the media. But I think those have been recognized as not the norm. And because if you recall, their spokesperson had mentioned that please go to India and see for yourself before the visit. So, I think that recognition and that perception that is changing about India, of course, it's only because India has become stronger. India has over the years, since the economic reforms of 91, been overall on an upward trajectory. And even during the last economic crisis, India did emerge quite, well and strongly, including after the COVID-19 crisis. The world economies were impacted. India still came up. So I think all these factors, and of course, as many, many commentators have said, India is a market. Yes, it is a market, or definitely, but it is also an important partner. We have to remember that, and that recognition has been given, and the US has recognized that. And that is why this relationship and this visit assume the importance, and they're being given that importance by the entire government, by the administration, and to a large extent, even by the opposition party, the Republicans. And there has been, we have seen that in the joint address, he received his speech, or the points that he made received a standing ovation by both sides. There was no, it was not only one part of, one party or some leaders, acknowledging what he was saying and appreciating what the Prime Minister said. So I think that feeling, or that what I saw, what I felt was some kind of euphoria, enthusiasm, and energy in the American system, in the American people as well. People, when I say their representatives, and of course in the Indian diaspora.
Certainly, there was a lot of enthusiasm. Not only, did they turn out in large numbers as they always do at that interaction that the Prime Minister had with the diaspora, at the time when he received a ceremonial welcome on the South Lawns of the White House, we saw a huge turnout of Indian Americans who cheered the Prime Minister on during that historic moment. But talking about some of the key takeaways from this visit, one of the reasons why it's historic, not just because it was a state visit for an Indian Prime Minister, but because of the sheer significance of some of the deals that have been made. The biggest of them all, of course, being the fighter jet engine deal, because it comes with the transfer of technology, something that's never happened before in this bilateral relationship, something the US has never done before with a non-ally. According to several reports, the degree of technology transfer could go up to 80%. And there are all of 4 countries in the world presently that actually possess this technology. So no wonder then, India is calling it a game changer and a trailblazer, because not only is it really going to be significantly empowering for India's armed forces, it does take the India-US relationship to the next level in so many ways.
Absolutely, and this transfer of technology, as you said, is being done for the first time. I think, from my understanding, even Russia had not given us complete technology transfer. So the fact that the US is going this extra mile, and they have agreed to share this, and there's also been some indication that if there are upgrades, it will also be given, that technology is also likely to be shared with India. So I think that is a positive thing, and plus, there has been talk of getting components, sourcing components, having it manufactured in India. And for that, there has been some tie-up with some local Indian companies as well, startups in the sector, including for the drones. And I think that, again, and this partnership with HAL, I think, is again very important. The MOU that has been signed with HAL is a very important milestone, as you mentioned, in taking our collaboration, our partnership to the next level. And everywhere you look this time, in every field, I think there is mainly positivities to look out for. In technology, in space, in cutting-edge technology, in the field of having a joint mission, the Artemis Accords that India has signed on to, or has agreed to sign on to. So everywhere we are looking at, and the investments that, after the PM's meetings with all these company CEOs, including Elon Musk, I think all of them are willing and ready to invest. So they have announced their investments. I think they will, sorry. I'm sorry. I think they will implement it. There's been talk that, all these MOUs have been signed, all these announcements have been made. Will it happen? I feel confident this time that all of this will happen. It may take, because India is ready to facilitate all this. It's in India's interest. It is in US's interest to make this happen, to diversify their supply chains. So I think all that is happening. Make in India as part of our Atmanirbhar Bharat focus. So all that is happening. And I think, as you mentioned, transfer of technology in this field, and I think it is likely in other fields as well, in other niche areas where there's also talk of working together in innovation, in new technology, in researching. So I think all that new research, so setting up these, and there was co-location talk of the startups in both countries to come up with innovative solutions and to innovate in every way, including in AI, and how to use AI to find solutions. And of course, in green energy and other climate change, to address all these key challenges, India and US definitely play and have an important role to play in ensuring that the world becomes a better place to be.
Absolutely. The two sides, ma'am, have struck some important defense deals, and defense and technology cooperation seem to have really emerged as the primary theme, the leitmotif of this visit, and going forward perhaps of the bilateral relationship itself. We've talked about the fighter jet engine deal and the technology transfer that's going to come with it. Of course, procurement of 31 cutting-edge Predator drones by India's armed forces, and of course, in the semiconductor area, you have Micron that's going to come in and set a chip making assembly and testing plant here in India for the very first time. Apart from that, the two sides have also agreed to terminate 6 outstanding disputes at the World Trade Organization. So even though the headlines have been grabbed largely by the defense deals, it wouldn't be incorrect to say that trade has also been a very important component of the talks that have taken place between the two sides in the last 3 days.
Absolutely, trade, and there are some sticky issues at the WTO where we did not, where both sides did not have similar views, and those have been ironed out or are being ironed out. And I think that again is a positive step forward, because the WTO needs to be energized, needs to be empowered to play its role in world trade, the purpose for which it was set up. And I think India has been pushing this this fact that all multinational and multilateral institutions which are there need to be energized, need to be reformed, need to be stronger to play their roles. And of course, we did push the UN reforms again, and the US has been supportive, but I think till the US takes that extra strong line on it, or takes the it forward, it is unlikely to move at the pace that India would like. India and the other countries who are looking to reform the UN system, including the other institutions, World Bank and IMF, and that there was an announcement also by the World Bank and which said, and IMF also, I think there was an announcement, or there was talk that there would be making things easier. When they give loans, the terms and conditions would be more, less stringent when they give to the developing world. So that's again a positive outcome of all this. And the US, as we all know, is an important deciding member in all these multilateral institutions, the Bretton Woods institutions as they are called. So I think that is an important thing. The WTO definitely agreement, if it is implemented, will be again a very positive step forward to move the negotiations, on the WTO to have a just and equitable trade regime for the world. Yeah.
Right. And, what did you make of some of the other aspects of this visit? There's been talk about how, a personal touch of warmth was extended to Prime Minister Modi. There was a private dinner hosted for him at the White House by the President and the First Lady before the state dinner. Of course, the President was with the Prime Minister when, he met with top American and Indian CEOs. A lot has been said about their personal chemistry. What did you make of all of that?
I think in all what happens in all these international relations, when there's a personal chemistry, a personal, rapport, it definitely helps to reach decisions and to make, make things happen. And that was very visible. And I think this time, again, as I said, they've been very, the US has decided that this is the right moment, the right time to be doing things and to be, partnering with India. And I think that decision, once it has been taken, I've not seen this this much of positivity and this much of the way they've gone out of the way to make everything perfect, I think at all levels. So I think that has been an important element because of the chemistry, of course, shared between the two leaders, and the bonhomie also, in a way, between them. And I think it was something to see how the First Lady also, at the Science Foundation, also how she, the whole interaction there, and at the private dinner before that, the exchange of gifts, etc. Everything was very, very positive, and even at the White House. reception that was held in the daytime, where so many Indians for the first time were allowed to be there. So, and the recognition that India counts. And PM
Absolutely.
Modi is an important leader, so that, and he's a popular leader. So it's a democratic ethos, and which I think President Biden also reiterated, saying that India and the US share trust and democratic values. And in a side kind of reference, he
Right.
said, unlike the US, China. So I think these are all
Yes.
important, pointers to this whole relationship becoming stronger. And of course, the rapport and the special connect between the two leaders, we can see it, how they were so, positive. And even the
Absolutely.
First Lady was so positive, and there were so many small gestures which made it all very nice, and it felt nice to see the way the whole thing was
Yes.
conducted, with all due protocol, of course, but also a special touch.
Yes, a special touch, a lot of bonhomie and camaraderie was clearly on display. And I think you summed it up well, ma'am. The message that really has gone out is that India counts. On that note, thank you so much, Ambassador Manju Seth, for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, that was our special coverage of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic three-day visit to the United States and the key takeaways from that visit. Perhaps it would be safe to say that this is a visit that has redefined the India-US relationship.